for the next round of COVID expenses reimbursements, and that's due Wednesday. So we don't have a lot of time, so we're gonna have to get to those agenda items. So, we'll start with, there's a group of citizens that'd like to speak again.
Good evening, my name is Christine Ordinez. I am one of 3 speakers for a group called Dalton Concerned Citizens, and we just have some follow-up questions to an ongoing meeting from the last select board meeting. I personally spent some time on my own trying to locate a CPA firm that does municipal audits, since COAS is no longer associated with us. In the past, when the town was doing its own bookkeeping, hiring an outside audit company was appropriate. In 2015, this outside audit cost the town about $22,000. COAS advisors were going to do the 2019 MS60 for, I believe, $6,000, and that seemed kind of like a bargain. Filling out the MS60 form is not easy or quick. I have a copy of it here. It is extensive, and Jesse says that there are about 6 banker's boxes full of documents that have to be gone through, so it's not just to sit down, whip it out in a couple of hours. It is extensive.
Right.
After calling around locally, Concord and Manchester, I emailed the board the names of 2 companies that do this. Not everybody does municipal audits. They are time consuming. They usually encompass several days and several people. I was just wondering if anybody has contacted them. One was Vachon Bouquet and the other one was a F.G. Briggs Jr. company, both are in Manchester.
So, proceeding with how we're going to handle the audit will be something that we'll deal with. I don't know that we'll be making a decision tonight, because we've still got some other things to catch up on, but it certainly is on our list, and we're very interested in making sure that we do it appropriately.
Okay, I was just wondering if anybody had reached out to these 2 companies, knowing that the government extended the tax filing deadline to July 15th. I know they're out straight, and if this the 2019 has to be done by the end of the year. I just wanted to see if anybody had reached out to them, to even see if they're gonna take us on, because there are only 3 in the state that I have been told, and I did call every CPA that I could get hold of between here.
So we have not
We have not.
met in the last 2 weeks, so we have not made any decision.
I work for the town of Landaff, and you didn't list the ones that we use.
Who do you use?
Plastic and Sanderson?
I was not given that name. I didn't know who they were. Add it to the list.
I'll add it to your list, though, if that's okay.
Well, their list.
And Beth, I found a list of, there's about 12 CPA firms in New Hampshire from NHGFOA site, and that's part of the paperwork Robin has for you.
Well, the ones I called said they're CPAs, but they don't do municipalities, and
These are New Hampshire government CPA firms.
So anyway, that's something that we're gonna move ahead, because we have a lot to cover, and I wanna make sure that we get our reimbursement application completed.
okay. The only other issue, and this is going back to a conflict of interest issue that I have brought to the board's attention in the past. The select board has been made aware of the appearance of conflict of interest between a select board member and the Dalton fire chief. In 2019, the head of the highway department got a raise after the board extensively researched and justified it. I was wondering if you'd please discuss the documented research that justifies the $3 an hour, 20% raise that the board approved for the fire chief. And I'm going to follow up with saying that I know usually personnel issues are closed session, but this gentleman spoke to me face to face at the February budget hearing and told me he gave himself and his guys a raise. That's fine. I had no idea it was 20%, and I did not think to ask. It was in the newspaper, and you made a motion and approved it. I think it was the March 23rd minute. So I would just like to know if research was done to justify the raise and the 20% as it was done in 2019 with the highway department. If you don't have time to answer it now, if
Do
you
you
could.
have the research paper for that?
No, I do not, but I'm sure it's in the file, and
Well,
if you
we
wanna
should
look
into
for it, I would appreciate it.
So I think it's, you know, comparable in many cases because the raise for the head of the highway department last year was $3.50. For the
Yeah.
fire chief this year it was $3, and again,
Yeah.
he did not get a raise last year, and that was the justification last year for giving
Okay.
the highway department that raise was because it had been 2 years. It's a comparable thing, and then there are also market factors that. play
Okay, I'm
into
just
this.
asking if research was done, if you would let me know.
Yeah.
At that point, I'll drop the topic. But I would just like to know if comparable research was done for this increase as it was done for the highway department.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Linda or Jeff, you will speak next. Thank you.
Good evening, Linda Greenwood. As noted 2 weeks ago, Dalton pays 2 large December bills each year, the $500,000 to the county and then the stipends for the fire department members. In a similar manner,
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble, can you speak a little, just having trouble understanding you.
when you start over,
I know, it's hard with the math.
I know, it's awful with the mask. Historically, 3 large bills are dealt with after July taxes are collected. This year, $135,000 worth of warrant articles passed at the March meeting, and that money needs to get transferred from the general account to the trust fund account. Also, the 2020 budget proposal set aside $8,700 for area health agencies and $2,429 for the airport. The administrative assistant prepares this paperwork. Is the board planning to pay these before the end of August?
And so, for those, we were waiting until we had tax money came in. We just signed all of the, checks to transfer money to the trust fund accounts today.
Oh, good.
You know, the tax bills were due July 1st, so this is the first meeting in July that we've had. So those have already been done. The airport, so last year, the prior administrative assistant had not paid that, the airport bill at the beginning of the year, and so it did fall through the cracks. It was, I believe, the beginning of April that we paid last year and this year, so that's been paid.
Okay, good. And how about the health agencies?
I don't remember off the top, I know we paid some of those, but not all of them,
Okay.
so.
I
need
had
to
it on my
make sure-
agenda to do next meeting, so Robin, work with it, have her do it next meeting.
Okay,
We have paid one of them.
yes, I know we've paid at least one.
We'd like to see the questionnaire that's required each time a person requests welfare assistance.
Certainly.
Is documentation like income, assets, bills, etc. required?
Certainly, yes.
It's basically the same application that was been used, there was only a few things added to it, like permission to speak to certain employers, to landlords.
And then some things to make sure we get follow-up information as well.
I mean, other than that, I didn't change anything else. Oh, and I added COVID money
Yeah.
to it.
Does the board have does the person requesting help need to prove that they've sought help in other places? Is that part of the process?
That is part of the process.
Okay. Welfare is such a tough situation to handle in such a small town like this. Brentwood, New Hampshire shares a welfare director with Exeter, and I'm saying maybe the board should consider a similar arrangement next year, because it is tough to handle at such a small town. Just
And
a-
I'm sorry, so you're suggesting that we share the welfare administrative role with another town?
Right,
That's an interesting idea.
that way you,
I think
Take
we
it
could
out of
also
it.
have an opportunity here though, because Robin was just sharing some of her background and,
My background is human services, so I've worked with welfare, I've worked with every avenue around welfare, so as far as where you would go prior to coming to the town for any help, I'd be happy to direct them through the steps.
yeah, good,
That's part of my background, and I'm happy to fill you in on any of that.
welcome.
Thank bit.
You're in the process.
Yeah, it's getting there. I've started the deposits and whatnot,
Okay.
and I know some of the payables have been updated, but not quite up to par yet.
You did say you could get a total though for some departments if we.
Yeah, if department heads need it, I can kind of patch something together for
Okay.
you as far as what you spent so far, if you need that right away. If you can wait another 2 weeks or so
You'll
till
be
I
all
can
set.
fill it in,
Okay.
then I can do it that way. But if anything's needed prior to that as far as your budgets, by all means just let me know and I'll do the bookwork on it.
Okay, that's great. Forest Lake's open, everybody's happy. I've had a lot of people asking me about it. I've also been asked, so you guys, I hopefully know the answer. Is the state testing the water like they used to, or does that now fall upon the town too?
So the water testing, the annual
Yes.
water testing,
Yeah.
I'm going to actually defer to somebody from the, Forest Lake Association who can say where the status is on that.
Okay.
Sure. I can tell you that for the last 7 years, Forest Lake Association has paid for all the water testing throughout the lake. You know, they take samples all over the place. The residents take care of bringing around to New Hampshire, you know, the people from Concord. They go in the boats together and they take it all. And the results of that, you know, has been compiled by Adam Finkel, who's part of the Forest Lake Association. He's forwarded the data to you guys.
Yeah.
And what it's shown is that Forest Lake is, from E. coli and some of the dangerous things that could be in a lake, that Forest Lake is so pristine that the Department of Environmental Services down in Concord has made the decision that they'll put us on not an every year test, but an every other or third year test, because it's been so clean for so many years. It's like, why do we want to keep coming back up here and testing it? Forest Lake is truly in the top, you know, top percent of the lakes in the lakes region. We did have a little bit of an outbreak a couple years ago with goose poop. Excuse the expression.
Yeah.
We had goose poop a couple years ago. But there was another forest lake in the southern part of New Hampshire down in, not Jaffrey.
Winchester?
Yeah, there's another forest lake south that has been a continual problem. And I think some of the data that's gone back and forth has been a little bit confused by which forest lake you're talking about. But the forest lake here in Dalton is extraordinarily clean. In the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services has sort of said, we don't really need to look at it as regularly as we do other lakes, because this one is clearly not a problem.
Can I just interject? So Jesse, I'm having some trouble with my hearing, everybody, so please bear with me. Were you asking who's going to pay for the testing?
No, I just wondered who was gonna do it. I've had people ask.
Forest Lake Association's
Okay.
been doing it for 7 or 10 years. I'm not sure if it's 7 or 10, I'm sorry. I
Okay.
can get back to you with that.
Alright.
But they've been doing it, you know, every year.
Right.
And one year we did have a goose poop explosion that
Yes.
caused a little bit of a problem, but that, other than that, like right now, you can drink out of Forest Lake.
Yeah.
There is no problem with drinking out of Forest Lake. There's many residences around Forest Lake that do pull it in for drinking water.
And it was tested again in May of this year?
Yes, I think it was May. I
Okay.
think it was May. And again, it came back unbelievably clean, so, you know, that's the answer to that.
Okay, that answers my question. I can pass
Thank you.
that on when.
As long as I'm standing, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Carol. She has pulled together a great group of, you know, the Dalton Fire Rescue and in the residents around the Forest Lake. We've had people in voluntarily, at no expense to anybody. They're cleaning toilets every 2 hours. They're weed whacking. This morning I ran into a lady with a weed whacker. I had to avoid her, actually. You know, I was a little concerned. But the goose poop, we do have geese on the lake. There's a family of 5, and we're trying to keep them off the beach, because that's where the problem is. I mean, I don't know where else they poop, but I mean, if they come up on the beach, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
But we have volunteers that every day go in and clean all the fireplaces, empty all that. We do trash pickup. I guarantee anybody, you can walk around Forest Lake State Park today down by the beach, you can't find 10 cigarette butts. You can't. They're all been picked up. And, you know, I just think that Carol's done a great job of putting together a great team of people.
I want to give a shout out to
they're
everybody. 'cause
doing
I
it.
haven't seen the email
Everybody.
pictures
Oh,
that
yeah,
they
no, I know,
have.
but you know, it takes you know, it takes somebody to really take the lead and make it all happen, and it's happening. Litter's being picked up, loose poop's being picked up. I hate that job, but loose poop's being picked up.
I have my dog Cooper.
And Wiley Coyote is back in full with 4 legs. You know, for a while there, we lost a couple of his legs. He came off the lake, off the beach, and now we've got him all back. He's all glued together. He's back on the beach, scaring away the geese. So I'm happy.
So thank you to Forest Lake Association, to the fire rescue, to everybody who's volunteering.
Outside volunteers.
Call them
Yeah,
now.
outside and Friends of Forest Lake, there's a bunch of them.
I think it's a huge safety thing too. I know for me, we was going over there, people are gonna use this no matter what.
Right.
And with the gate being closed, there was kids running up and down Forest Lake Road, heading for the beach and et cetera. It was a big safety issue. Now the gate's open, they go in the parking lot, the kids go down to the beach, they come back to the parking lot and they drive out. It's just so much safer situation.
And they are social distancing, it's surprising
Oh
when
yeah,
you go
oh yeah,
there,
there was 100 people over
they're
there
keeping
on
each other
New
separate.
Year's Day, and
Yeah.
they were all in little pods of families, and
Yeah.
it's probably the most positive things I've seen in a while, to be honest with you.
It's nice to celebrate his success.
It's
I
great.
think that's a
It's nice to celebrate his success.
Thank you, everyone. I mean, that's such a nice little cause. And it'd be nice if the state had the resources to continue to support it, but, yes.
Can I speak for a minute? Jesse, are there people that are expressing concern about the quality of forest?
No,
water?
just asking if it was still gonna get tested. Apparently,
Oh,
people
good.
heard on the radio that the state didn't have funding to do the lakes this year, and I said, I have no idea, but I can ask.
I'm glad to hear that, because over the course of the last year, there have been people that have questioned the
Right.
water quality in Forest Lake. And,
I think 'cause years ago, there was issues with E. coli.
Yeah, there was years ago, 5 years ago, there was an issue with goose poop.
but there's lots of water quality data there for anyone that has any questions about the quality of Forest Lake water. Is Forest Lake Association, which has all that data collected from the state and from Granite State Labs, which is the lab that's well respected.
Yeah,
lab
can you
in
speak
New
up
England.
more, the remote?
I'm sorry.
The remote, listeners cannot hear
Sorry.
you.
There's water quality data from that Forest Lake Association has paid for. There's water quality data from the state. There's water quality data from Granite State Labs, and all of that can be made available to anybody that has any concerns whatsoever.
I'll pass
About
on that
the
it's safe
water
and been
quality in
tested, and
Forest
if they
Lake.
want more
You
information,
can
I'll
drink
pass
out of
them
Forest
on
Lake
to
today.
you.
You can drink out of Forest Lake.
Thank you.
Okay. John, you wanted a couple of minutes?
Thank you. My name's John Swan, Dalton resident, and I too am a concerned citizen of Dalton. I'm concerned about the agenda of the concerned citizens of Dalton. I'll be brief because I know you have things to do, but first off, I have to say, you know, if $3 is a 20% pay increase for the fire chief, Ron Sheltry, how can you gripe about that, you know? I mean, the guy is beloved by all. And one of my concerns is that if you look at the roster of players involved with this group, it's the same faces that were responsible for last year's fiasco that cost the town thousands of dollars, and in lawsuits and settlements. And I'm concerned that they're going to try and take us down this same path. And again, this is my opinion based on a year of watching all of this. The same group of people are pro-landfill proponents working on behalf of Casella Waste Systems to undermine this board. That this 4-page manifesto that the treasurer had time to type up, but she still hasn't gotten the trustees their access to the online banking account, and she doesn't even know her own responsibility. Since co-host is no longer doing the reconciling, she says she hasn't gotten a reconciliation since March. If you look at the state statute, state treasurer, town treasurer, that's your job.
I think we're gonna look at things going forward. I think treasurers can, my understanding is they can delegate reconciliation, but it should be a written delegation.
And has it been
So
done?
as a board, I think we would want to look at all of the roles and make sure those roles are updated and that things are being done appropriately.
But we're in
And we've done a lot
July.
of changes, so the separation of duties are gonna be different,
Sure.
and that's something we really wanna look
Well,
into.
my concern too is that, she said since March, it's July, why doesn't she come to the board and say, hey, what's
Okay,
going
well,
on?
this-
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
there's a group here
Okay,
trying to
but we don't- I
undermine.
don't wanna
Okay.
dwell on this, I wanna, cause we've got a ton of stuff to do.
All right, and I just wanna say one more thing, I wanna remind the select board that the purpose of the town master plan was to set down clearly and practically the most appropriate set of principles and objectives to guide the future development of the town of Dalton. That's based on input from citizens and elected officials. And it states that Dalton is a rural residential community and should remain so in the future. Dalton's essential rural character and quality of life are defined by the town's natural environment, rivers, forests, fields, ridges, and future development should be consistent with and seek to protect Dalton's natural environment. Now, that flies in the face of what Dalton resident and Casella advocate, Mr. Scott Kleinstrode, is advancing because he doesn't want to pay his property taxes. He feels that Dalton should become a property-rich town, whereas we've always been a property-poor town, which is defined by citizens who pay their property taxes, not some big multi-billion-dollar corporation coming in and hopefully paying all of our taxes so we have to pay our taxes. So I just want the select board to remember the master plan, what the wishes of the citizens are, and remember the July 30th vote at the special town meeting last year where a very unpopular emergency temporary zoning was voted in to stop this development, which Mr. Kleinstrode seems to think is good for the town. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So for, old business, do we wanna skip the purchase order policy, because we've
Yeah,
got
we
so
will
many
do.
other things to deal with?
We need to do that.
Hmm?
We need to do the reimbursement.
I'm sorry?
We need to do the COVID reimbursement
Yes,
paperwork.
yes. So. Pamela, I got your spreadsheet, and one of the things is one of the pieces we're missing.
The one thing I do know somebody's interested in, but before we do that, is open sealed bids. Do we have sealed bids to open for that property?
Oh, yeah, we should go down through that instead of jumping ahead. The pistol license renewal, we should talk on.
License renewal.
Concerned citizens are leaving. They're so concerned.
See you tomorrow.
Is there only one place to sign? I thought there were two places. To sign this, I'm not seeing a place on here to sign. Am I missing it?
I think that's just the,
Oh, down
down the
here.
bottom.
Down the bottom.
Concerned citizens are leaving. Guys, they're so concerned. Concerned citizens. Almost. They're still here.
Okay, we have a bid from Joseph and Patrice Capello. property at Hall Road. And we have a sealed bid from James Isherwood Jr. in the amount of $1,025.
What was the other one?
The other one was $27,000.
This is the one that had the wrong name spelled.
Yes.
Sorry, that one?
The name.
The names were incorrect.
Oh, the names.
Where they
Yes.
said as is.
And when we reached out for legal counsel, because it's as is, the buyer is liable for clearing any title.
To get the deeds corrected.
They
right?
have to correct it.
Yeah,
It's not our
okay.
responsibility to correct it. In the title history of this property, there were different spellings of the same name. Okay, do we have a motion to accept one of these bids?
I have a quick question. If the higher bid backs out because they were unaware of the legal complications and the multiple errors, what happens at that time? Would the second bid be taken into consideration? I ask only because they might be unaware of what they're getting themselves into with the title, the deed.
So there is some terminology, and I'm going to, let me see if we have it in the, when we put it out for bid, that, how is it worded in terms of the deed? I'm blanking on the phrase.
Quitclaim.
Quitclaim, I think.
Yeah.
And legal counsel said that, again, as you said, that it's their responsibility, but also the 27,000 bid is the son of the original owner.
Yes.
So I think that part of the problem goes away because of the relationship.
Right. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. I mean, any more than it is because, like, it has to be a quitclaim deed because there are taxes owed on the property. And my understanding is we as a town have to do an assessment of how much the town has lost in terms of lost taxes and interest. And then the balance over and above that amount has to be returned to the prior owner.
Which would be the buyer in this instance. Which would be the buyer in this instance.
Right, but
Yeah.
right. So it's not like there's going to be a windfall for the town, it's just really recovering, hopefully recovering our tax loss over some time. So we have two bids, one is for $1,025, the other is for $27,000. Do we have a motion to accept one of them?
Well, obviously, we're gonna accept the $27,000. I make a motion to accept the bid for 27, what was it?
27,000
Even
from
on the
Joseph
Hall,
and Patrice Capello.
in the Hall Road property, correct?
Yes. And that's
All right,
Carol making the
Carol.
motion.
I second the motion, Tamara.
All in favor?
Aye, Tamara.
Aye, Carol?
Aye, Joe Beth.
But, did you answer her question though?
Not really.
So she basically says if the first person backs out, does it go up for rebid or or does the second person get it?
Like if they back out, what happens?
The first person,
Yeah,
the
the
27,000.
Capellos.
Right. So
Right.
they
But
decide,
if the other people, that, the 27,000 backs out, does it?
Oh, then with the other, oh, that, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
The board
Um,
can do either, whatever they want, they can either go to, you can either go to the other bids, or you can put it out for bid,
So we would make a decision at that point.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, didn't we have it?
And the deposit for the bid that wasn't accepted will be returned, is my understanding.
Correct.
Since I'm here, could I just
Just say, is that your deposit? You folks are okay if I release that deposit now to them, or?
with ID.
With ID.
Oh yeah, I can show you my ID.
Because we don't want the real, no, just kidding.
Are you Isherwood or is the other one then?
I'm Isherwood.
You are, okay. Do the deposit of 800?
Yes.
Here you go. Thank you.
Okay. So the odor issues, that's really the old issue that's.
right, we can wait, we can do that next time.
Okay. COVID,
Yes.
yes. Okay, so for the transfer station, do you want me to pull up your spreadsheet? too?
Yeah, so I guess the real question is, there's two ways to look at it. So we look at what we were not recycling, and then if you looked at like the average of what we were recycling in the months previous, I think it was like, ended up like, there was like, I think it was, 3 months at 800 pounds, so it'd be like 2,400 pounds. And so that was slightly less than a ton, so, it ended up being like $70 in terms of, the lost recycling. The other noticeable difference was, if you looked at last year's, average amount of municipal solid waste in a 2-week period, it was about 6 tons every 2 weeks, and this year it was about 8 tons every 2 weeks. So in terms of, so basically it costs, the cost of 2 tons for the 2 months, so it'd be 4 tons of waste, so it's a couple $100 what we look at. So, but I don't know if how clearly we can say that that is strictly due to COVID, but it does seem to definitely, be consistently over by 2 tons.
Yeah, well, families stayed home too. Remember, the kids didn't go to school, so that was that. There was, a lot of home construction going on, where they were redoing because of the, COVID money that they got. So that's.
Sorry, it seems to. Hold that here.
Yeah, so if you looked at, you said 2 tons in May and then 2 tons in June. $28 for June, for a total of $537.
Keeps telling me that it's open, but I can't find it open, so let me open another copy.